Good morning. Board of Directors, shareholders, company secretary, regulators, our external auditor, PwC, represented by Managing Partner, Mr. Leighton McKnight, special guests, media, and everyone who has joined us remotely via live stream, good morning, and welcome to our 15th Annual General Meeting. Our AGM this year is being held pursuant to order of the Supreme Court, which the company has obtained. In keeping with this order, we are having a physical meeting with a limited number of shareholders present for the quorum, and we're also streaming the AGM live. Under our articles, 3 persons constitute a quorum. We decided to use this forum to hold our AGM as a means of keeping our shareholders, stakeholders, and support staff safe in light of the rising cases of COVID-19. Our priority is the health and safety of all concerned. Pursuant to the Supreme Court order, our AGM notice this year, along with the proxy form and all accounts and reports necessary for the conduct of this meeting, was published on our website, the Jamaica Stock Exchange's website, and circulated via email to our shareholders for whom we have email addresses. We have also published advisories of the AGM in the local newspapers. The notice advised shareholders of the revised format for this year's AGM, and that voting on the resolutions in the notice would only be facilitated by a proxy chosen from amongst the persons that we indicated will be present. Proxies should have been submitted no less than 48 hours before the meeting. We received proxies totaling 1,619,393,297 units, or approximately 61% of the issued shares of the company. Shareholders were also encouraged in the notice to submit their questions to our email address, agm@svlgrp.com, or via our website in advance of the meeting. Shareholders may also view a copy of last year's AGM minutes on our website. I wish to introduce the company secretary, Ms. Nissa K. Darby, and ask that she advise whether the quorum of 3 shareholders present at the meeting has been met.
Chairman, I confirm that there is a quorum for today's meeting.
Thank you. I call this meeting to order, and I ask that the notice of the meeting be taken as read. I now invite General Manager of Supreme Ventures Racing Entertainment Limited, Lorna Gooden, to offer a word of prayer.
Chairman, members of the head table, directors, our valued shareholders, both in person and online, members of the management team, and employees of SVG, good morning. Let us be reverent as we bow our heads in prayer. The world as we know it has changed. We have all been impacted by this global pandemic, some more significantly than others. We are here to give thanks for making it through what was indeed a very difficult year. As we look forward to the future, we pray for the new normal to come, and that we all will play our part in making it a reality soon. We pray for continued guidance and protection over the leadership and staff of this esteemed company. We are thankful for the results of the past and any future blessings. Guide today's proceedings, and as we leave for our respective abode today, we ask your continued protection. Keep us physically safe and guard our hearts and minds from pride and selfishness. Fill us once again with community, civic, and family spirit, so that as a country we will continue to make it through this pandemic. All these we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Lorna. 2020 was an exceptional year for Supreme Ventures. As like with other companies worldwide, we were faced with the task of implementing our game-changing strategies in an economy that had to grapple with the effects of COVID-19. Today, I will speak to the results gained as a result of these strategies and the innovativeness and creativity of the team to continuously perform at a high level to still deliver record-breaking profits and value to you, our shareholders. So let us now review 2020 and look to 2021. What were our promises in 2020? Operational excellence. We continue to lead the market in innovation and technology. Growth and profitability. We focus on leveraging our re-energized brand, implementing our expansion strategies, and providing excellent customer service. Implementation of key projects. We went full speed ahead and increased our offerings share through new channels, products, and customers. And finally, we promised we would increase mobile adoption and increase our market share in the sports betting segment. In other words, we promised diversification in our risk, our products, and our market, while changing the game with our new and innovative revolutionary products. And we've done that. Our team focused on our strategic objectives and delivered strong results. The result, another record-breaking year in gross ticket sales for Supreme Ventures. We recorded $76.3 billion versus $73 billion. Despite a year filled with uncertainties and downturn in the economy, we had a year marked with acquisitions, expansions, and accomplishments. We effectively manage our operations, which remain solid. We had strong performance across all subsidiaries. Our dominance in the market is seen by the fact that our market share remains at 99.5% despite having competition. Our customers, our revered customers, continue to receive massive winnings, over $51 billion. And we have upped the game with the sports betting segment and online market, executing on first-world innovations and products with exceptional profits. Despite the impact of COVID-19, 2020 can only be described as a fantastic year as we continue to have solid performances across the group. Net profit for the group remained flat, coming in at approximately $2.4 billion, whilst gaming income increased by $840 million, or 2%, and our EBITDA increased by 14.3% to come out at around $4.6 billion. This performance, I'm sure that you, our shareholders, must be proud of as we work to maximize shareholder value. While we continue on our mission, let's focus on how we've grown your value. Earnings per share of 90.15 cents allowed shareholders to receive dividends of 80 cents for the 2020 financial year. SVL continues to fulfill its mission to increase value to our shareholders and other stakeholders. Total assets in 2020 increased by $6 billion to $15.6 billion, an increase of 65% over 2019. Our shareholders in 2020 increased to 6,400, moving from 5,300 at the end of 2019, an increase of 20%. And this is amazing. It shows that we continue to attract new investors in the business. Total shareholders' equity as at December 2020 was $6 billion, representing an increase of $1.9 billion, or 47%, when compared to December 2019. Total dividends paid in 2020 was $1.9 billion, representing a dividend yield of 4.1%. We're pleased to be able to continue to provide a great return on your investment. Year after year, we have shown how beneficial it is to be an SVL shareholder. Last year, the stock price was impacted by the downward trends in the equity market as a result of COVID-19, and the price closed at $17.60 per share, representing a fall from the previous 5 years' growth with price earnings of 19.53. This resulted in a negative return of 28% to shareholders over 2019, but we have certainly recovered by the second quarter of 2021 due to the strong performance of the company. We thank you for your continued confidence in the future of the SVL Group, so let us now focus on our segments. I now invite Mr. Jesus Johnston, CEO of Prime Sports Jamaica Limited, the subsidiary responsible for all of your numbers products, sports betting, gaming and hospitality segments, and our retail network. Following Jesus' presentation, the General Manager of Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited, SVREL, the operators of Caymanas Park, Lorna Gooden, will provide details about the performance of Caymanas Park. Jesus?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Prime Sports Jamaica Limited is a subsidiary that powers all our gaming brands. The lottery products, sports betting, Acropolis, and contributes approximately 80% of the group's revenue. Prime Sports is the largest contributor. This subsidiary is also the hub for the Supreme Ventures retailer network, a massive network of independent retailers, Jamaican entrepreneurs who are the backbone of what we do in Jamaica and how we serve our customers. Sports betting sales under the Just Bet brand, this has been a key growth segment, and we increased 96% over 2019, while sports betting income increased 38%. This follows a global trend of high interest in sports and skill-based gaming. We implemented key strategic initiatives, platform improvements, increased sporting league options, and we also implemented operational efficiencies. And this has resulted in a significant turnaround in the sports betting segment profitability. We expect this segment to continue to grow, and this trajectory will continue for at least 3 to 4 years forward. We have a continued expansion thrust in Jamaica with our online product and the increase in our retail stores. We continue to launch new products and sales channels while focusing on perfecting our digital gaming assets and growing the adoption rate for digital platforms. As of today, we have 4 gaming brands playing in the digital space. SV Games for our lotteries and numbers products, MBet for horse racing, Just Bet for sports betting, and the newly launched Acropolis Online for casino games. It brings the excitement of a lounge to the palm of your hands. Lotteries continue to contribute the lion's share of overall results, showing a segment result of 4.2 billion over 2019's results of 3.4 billion based on gross ticket sales of approximately 52.8 billion. Gross ticket sales accounted for 69.2% of overall gross ticket sales for Prime Sports, compared to 69.4% in 2019. Despite the impact of COVID, the segment still recorded an increase of 4% in gross ticket sales. Lotteries grew by about 6% and sports betting by 96%. Another key driver of our revenues was SRL Supreme Routes Limited, which we acquired in 2020, and this route VLT business contributed about 800 million in revenues to our company. We added the new Hot Pick game to give gamers a new game and to diversify our portfolio. We also added the Mega Ball feature to boost winnings for our players in Hot Pick as it boosts the winnings in Cashpot. And we launched the new SV Games mobile app. This offered players a smooth, easy way to sign in and to log on and to play our favorite games, Cashpot, Lotto, Super Lotto, and the Pick suite of games online. In November, we literally took gaming to the streets. We launched our latest channel, Super Sellers. This allowed our retailers who have brick-and-mortar locations to move beyond their doors and to create a new set of entrepreneurs, the micro-entrepreneurs who can move freely in the streets and sell all the favorite numbers games to the customers. And in what can be described as a historical, game-changing, and groundbreaking move, we launched in South Africa. Cashpot in South Africa is the first of many numbers games that we'll be exporting globally, and it shows how impactful our products are, not just in the local market, but how they translate into the international market. Our network expansion and promotional activities aimed at creating greater awareness of lottery games paid off. The promotions became more attractive, and it contributed to the growth of our lottery business even during this time of COVID. Revenues from PIN codes, Digicel and Flow top-up recorded an increase of 2.4% over 2019 to achieve revenues of 11.6 billion. The demand for data has driven demand for data and the use of over-the-top services has driven this growth in the segment. The segment produced a positive result of 256.6 million in 2020, up from 132.8 million in 2019. And the increased activity and the incentives and the promotions working along with the telecom providers have helped to drive this segment of the business. I will now hand over to the General Manager of SVREL, Lorna Gooden.
Thank you, Jesus. So, Caymanas highlights. What have we done in 2020? We have readjusted racing days from Wednesdays and Saturdays to Saturdays and Sundays. This has created a streamlined weekend of exciting racing, which not only gave more racing fans an opportunity to watch races live and at the OTBs island-wide, but also resulted in more robust wagering that positively impacted revenue. We revamped some of our betting types and winning scenarios to entice more persons to the sport and to re-energize the regular punters. The first on the list was the launch of Reggae 6 in October, which replaced the Sunrise 6. This exotic bet comes with its own unique features, such as minimum guarantee payout of $3 million, mandatory payout each month, which consistently exceeds $15 million, and a low payout rate. Reggae 6 is currently the leading betting type that has created the most millionaires, with over $104 million paid out to punters within the first 4 months of its existence. The Supreme Ventures Group continues to invest heavily in Caymanas Park since we acquired its operation in 2017. Last year, $498 million was invested in SVREL. Total investment since then, since 2017, over $3.2 billion. We have invested in stable management technology, the facilities, roadways, and betting structure. The stable management software gives us details on the performance and fitness of the horses in the Caymanas stables. But most significantly was the investment in operations during the 3-month lockdown. Looking at our finances, I must say that despite the closure of the track for 3 months in the first half of the year, our revenues are still commendable. Our revenues did decrease by 1.5 billion, or 21%, to end at 5.7 billion, moving from 7.2 billion in 2019. While there was considerable focus on reshaping of the Caymanas product, local horse racing, however, decreased by 535 million, or 15%, due to the impact of the track closure in March to June. Gross profit for the period also decreased by 164.7 million, or 15%. Simulcasting decreased by 867.6 million, or 26%. This again due to the closure of the track. We must note that most of our overseas tracks were also closed since January 2020, which also impacted our revenue. Our OTB network continues to expand with significant growth. At the end of 2020, we had 117 locations island-wide and added 15 new locations to the network. The entire roadway of the northern stable area was repaired, and the central stable area patched, resulted in a safer and more conducive road work for the horsemen and other stakeholders. Under the manure skip construction program, in keeping with health and safety, a total of 15 skips were constructed throughout the stable areas. We also redeveloped 30 stalls and completed major repairs on some stables. Despite the impact of COVID-19, we realized the fruition of our efforts despite significant reduction in losses. Realized the fruition of our efforts to reduce the losses significantly. We expect greater wins this year and guarantee more big wins for our future. We ended the year by inking an historic deal with horse racing betting solution provider BetMakers Technology Group. The 5-year deal will include construction of a new infrastructure and event sponsorship until 2025. Benefits include the construction of a trainer's pavilion and feature race day sponsorship, with BetMakers implementing, managing, and distributing a fixed odds betting solution that will give punters more choices when placing their bets. We are proud to note that Caymanas Park became one of the first tracks in the Western Hemisphere to implement fixed odds horse racing along tote betting. I now invite Chairman Peart to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Lorna. When we talk about big wins, we have to report on the heart of our business, our Jamaican people. SVL paid out over $51 billion to our customers across the group in 2020, an increase of over $900 million year over year. 6 players walked away with huge jackpot wins amounting to $864 million. One of those winners won a Super Lotto jackpot of $301 million. Our cashpot gamers also won hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2020. Our contribution to Jamaica's positive economic performance in 2020 is showcased through our payout of approximately $6.5 billion in commissions to our retailers and fees to our service providers. Those commission and fees support an economic ecosystem of over 30,000 persons, including retailers, their staff, contractors, and other service providers. For 2020, the group paid out approximately $8.3 billion in fees and taxes to the government, representing an increase of approximately 5% over 2019. The amount paid to the government is 3.5 times more than the group's profit after tax, signifying the important contribution the Supreme Ventures Group makes to the government coffers in general and in contribution supporting the culture, health, arts, sports, and education. We remain proud as a key contributor to the Jamaican economy and development of communities across the island. Supreme is a people-centric organization, and the people and government of Jamaica are the biggest winners for us. As Supreme Ventures continues to make winners every day across all of our segments, with payouts of over $51 billion to our loyal customers. Here's a synopsis of our 2020 winners.
Supreme Ventures has been at the forefront of gaming in Jamaica for 20 years, giving Jamaicans a chance to make their dreams a reality through winning. In 2020, we paid over $51 billion to winners across all our robust gaming portfolio, including digital and online. This represents an overall increase in prize money paid out to our winners across the board. Our winners purchased 336 million tickets to their dreams in 2020. Our lottery, sports betting, and horse racing brands are household names, with Jamaicans putting their money on the most entertaining games with the highest odds on the market. We introduced a new quick win game, Hot Pick, and launched Jamaica's first gaming app, SV Games, with an optimized interface that made winning even easier and convenient for our customers. Cashpot continued its reign as Jamaica's favorite game in 2020. Jamaica continued to win it, play it, and love it, especially at the top of 2021, when we increased the winnings for the first time in the game's history to 28-1 and as high as $310 to a $10 wager in February. The first winner to receive their multi-million-dollar payday in 2020 was G. Byfield, who came through with the winning numbers on the last day and the last draw for 2019. Mr. Byfield, an avid player for several years, said he always knew that he would win and encouraged his fellow Super Lotto players to believe in their bet. The other Super Lotto winners for the year were A. Graham, who won $225.5 million on March 13, 2020, and G. Samuels, who won an astronomical $301.5 million on December 11. Players of our lotto game were not to be outdone. There were 4 lotto winners for 2020 who won a total of $280 million. W. Walker won $79 million on February 29. W. Brown won $95 million on July 4. H. Wilson won $33 million on July 27. And R. Jarrett won $73 million on October 17. Our online customers increased their gaming activity by over 500% during 2020. The increased activity on SV Games and Just Bet Mobile was driven by aggressive sign-up marketing campaigns and promotions on the ground and in the digital space. At the end of the year, online reached 60% of Just Bet revenues, with sport lovers turning to the mobile platform during the series of lockdowns. Caymanas Park is the home of champions and is now the home of millionaires. Having revamped several bet types throughout the year, more punters are winning bigger jackpots. The Reggae 6 bet type, introduced in October, created the most millionaires with over $104 million paid out to punters within the first 4 months of its existence. Supreme Ventures is in the business of making the dreams of Jamaicans come true. With the best-in-class gaming solutions and the biggest jackpots. We have so much more in store for 2021, 2022, and beyond.
Congrats to all of our winners. In 2020, SVL contributed to good and worthy causes in Jamaica to the tune of $1.9 billion. Our contribution to the Consolidated Fund has enabled the building of infrastructure in the sports, health, culture, and education sectors. Let's now take a look at our corporate social responsibility initiatives in 2020.
The Supreme Ventures Corporate Social Responsibility Organ had a renewed purpose in the year 2020. More than just facilitating outreach, the foundation inspired hope in Jamaicans throughout the year. When news broke that COVID-19 had reached Jamaican shores, the Supreme Ventures Foundation machinery sprung into action, making key donations to several affected vulnerable groups. The first move was to make a $1 million donation to the PATH program to ensure that the thousands of students received their meals under the school feeding program when schools closed on March 10. The next move was a $1 million donation to aid in the procurement of medicines, health aids, and personal care items from the National Health Fund and CariMed for thousands of children in state care across the island. A favorite of the SVF, Read Across Jamaica Day, went online. We read stories to the children who tuned in to our social media live with the help of our friends, youth advocate and former chairperson of the Maxfield Park Children's Home, Empress Golding, and motivational life coach, Dr. Terry Carell Reed. PSOJ COVID-19 Relief. The Supreme Ventures Foundation sought to step in the gap for communities buckling under the weight of the pandemic. National lockdowns and closures, including our own Caymanas Park, left several persons without a cash flow and limited basic necessities. Supreme was invited by the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, to join their COVID-19 relief program in May, and we used the opportunity to help those in Caymanas Gardens. Over the course of 12 weeks, we donated hampers of basic foodstuff, vegetables, and personal items to over 300 residents every 2 weeks. Fire Safety Milestone. At the top of 2020, the Fire Safety Program secured a big win with the installation of a complex fire system at one of Jamaica's largest children's home, Maxfield Park Children's Home, in January. The $2.8 million fire alarm system spans the 6.5-acre property and will help to keep over 100 children safe in the event of a fire emergency. Despite the impact of COVID-19, the Supreme Ventures Foundation completed 22 homes, and we are on track to complete installation at all 30 homes in the year 2021. The Supreme Heroes Program. In July, we launched the Supreme Ventures Foundation Supreme Heroes Program and assisted 4 Jamaican enterprises with a grant to execute a community project. Each project had a profound impact on their heroes community. And now, Jamaica can visit the Supreme Ventures Foundation website to vote for the hero they believe deserves a bigger grant to reach even more persons. The Supreme Ventures Foundation Supreme Heroes Program has brought awareness to Jamaica's unsung heroes. They truly embody the supreme values, the same values that will propel Jamaica to achieve its full potential as an industrious and compassionate nation. No need is too great or too small for our outreach arm to reach out and make an impact on the community. The Supreme Ventures Foundation will continue to be that beacon of hope for all Jamaicans.
Amazing. Let's not forget that in 2020, the Jamaican economy saw a contraction in the 2020-21 fiscal year of approximately 11% when compared to the 2019-2020 period. This resulted from the COVID-19 impact, resulting in a record 18.4% second quarter reduction. By the end of 2020, the fourth quarter decline was 8.3%, which, even though an improvement on the second quarter, was still a decline. The Supreme Ventures Group, like other entities in the Jamaican economy, was negatively impacted by the onset of COVID-19 in early March 2020, which resulted in a downward growth trend throughout the rest of the year. This challenging economic environment impacted operations during the year. The main JSE index closed 2020 at 395,000 points, representing a decline of 22% over 2019. But despite the downturn in the market, several companies successfully raised equity financing during the period and saw relative improvements in the latter half of the year. Our team at Supreme have adapted, innovated, and transformed the gaming and entertainment industry by leveraging consumer optimism and our growth strategies to achieve our continued profitability status. So what are our plans going forward? The Planning Institute of Jamaica is recording a 12.9% economic growth in the April to June quarter of 2021. We're optimistic that the plans we have for our group and the gaming sector will be a winning strategy going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we have set the stage and created the momentum that would allow us to take new, bold steps to ensure that we are prepared for the opportunities ahead. 2021 is a year of more investment and growth. Investment in technological infrastructure, growth in our markets and product lines, investment in our human resource capacity, both internal and external, and investment in our operational capabilities. Whilst there's competition in the marketplace, we still maintain dominance with a market share of 99.5%. And we thank all our customers and retail network who have remained loyal to us over the years. Despite the onset of COVID-19, our first quarter performance saw a net profit of $600 million. The solid operating results in all segments contributed to an 18% growth in EBITDA. EPS of 22 cents per share in the first quarter compared to 28 cents the same period last year. We have reported net profits of $620 million for the second quarter ended June 2021, an increase of $434 million or 226% when compared to the same period in 2020. This accomplishment in the second quarter must be commended as we were still impacted by COVID-19, but nonetheless, we do expect that a continuation of the government-imposed restrictions to contain the spread of COVID-19 for the rest of the year, and this will, without a doubt, have an impact on our profitability status. Our earnings per share of 23 cents compared to 35 cents for the same period last year have decreased, but we're expecting a positive upswing as we continue to leverage our online channels, a move which is aligned with the trend in the marketplace. And as such, we can report that our SV Games product has grown exponentially in usage, while our successful Super Sellers program has provided an initial sales channel for our customers and third-party resellers. In the first 6 months of 2021, the Supreme Ventures Foundation focused on its key projects while making significant impact in the country. In the first 3 months, our contribution to good causes totaled $600 million. we started a fire safety program that was halted due to the restricted access to the homes. 6 homes were completed by the end of the second quarter, with installation already underway for several more, including the expansive SOS Children's Village in Stony Hill, St. Andrew, and the Jamaica National Children's Home, which had recently reopened after fire destroyed the home in 2019. The Supreme Ventures Foundation and EduFocal teamed up to provide 5,000 students with free access to the EduFocal platform to continue their online learning. Under the agreement, students benefited from zero-rated access to EduFocal's online educational resources. We donated a vital piece of equipment to the University Hospital of the West Indies, a mobile ultrasound machine with Wi-Fi capabilities. The ultrasound machine was earmarked for a section of the intensive care unit to prevent possible cross-contamination, as the hospital also treated COVID-19 cases. Still focused on health, we launched our quarterly blood drive. This drive is supported by the donations made by staff, goes towards a reserve that can be accessed by any SVL team member, past or present, who requires it. We're making sure that we're also doing good for our Supreme family. Our very successful Supreme Heroes program, which was launched in 2020, saw heroes completing their individual projects. The heroes, New Horizon, diversified their bamboo production to include bamboo coal. The heroes, Life Yard, developed a feeding program for the vulnerable members of their community. The heroes, Elma Thompson, she constructed a home for a vulnerable single mother with cognitive disabilities. And our hero, Miss Jenny, who completed sanitary conveniences for a disabled member in her community. Our partner, the Mona Entrepreneurial Commercialization Center, MECC, at the Mona Business School, exposed the heroes to the intricacies of business registration, taxation, brand building, and a host of other administrative tactics. To facilitate the classes with the MECC, we donated laptops to each hero, which they will continue to use as their outreach continues. At this point, we're preparing to award an even bigger grant to the hero that Jamaica thinks has made the most impact with their project. So it's now up to you, Jamaica, and a select judging panel to choose who is your Supreme Hero by casting your vote on the Supreme Ventures Foundation website, www.sv-foundation.com. We wish them the very best of luck in this and hope they continue to positively impact their communities. And in the true spirit of Supreme, I have an exciting announcement. As part of our 20th anniversary celebration, SVL, through the foundation, will this year award 20 students in state care full scholarships for the upcoming tertiary academic year. The students will receive funds towards their tuition, boarding, and other expenses for the full duration of their studies. The scholarships, which are valued at approximately $100 million for the entire course of studies, stand as SVL's largest contribution to state awards in the company's history. We've accomplished so much by our acquisitions. Supreme Route Limited, Post to Post, Michaela Financials, our newest acquisition. We created a new subsidiary, Supreme Fintech Limited, launched new products, created new channels, and expanded beyond the Jamaican shores. We recognize that the year has been one of the most challenging years in modern history on so many fronts, as we were faced and is still grappling with the impact of COVID-19, and dealt quite successfully with the introduction of 2 gaming companies in Jamaica, with gaming portfolios similar to the SVL model. I am proud to say that we are still the industry leader, maintaining a 99.5% market share. Go SVL. We're not daunted and will continue to push ahead despite the impact of COVID-19 on our operations. We recognize the mantle that SVL bears and the impact we have on the nation, aspiring hope and contributing to national economic stability. As such, I will now invite CEO of Prime Sports, Mr. Jesus Johnston, to speak, following which General Manager for SVREL, Lorna Gooden, and CEO for Supreme Ventures Services, Dennis Chung, to speak on their respective subsidiaries and their plans for the next months and beyond. Jesus?
Thank you, Chairman. As a key revenue earner, Prime Sports Jamaica Limited is focused on ensuring that all our key stakeholders are engaged. We value these relationships, and as such, we continue to highlight and reward our retailers with the launch of our retailer loyalty program, CEO and chairman visits to our retailers covering the island, every nook and cranny series featuring our retailers as the pillars of our communities, unique entrepreneurs who continue to build and grow their communities, and Supreme Connect, our quarterly retailer newsletter that keeps them informed and helps the lines of communications to stay open. Rest assured, we will continue to facilitate the growth of these Jamaican entrepreneurs and expand our retail network. Our customers, you have asked, we have listened. And so we continue to improve our customer experience with a focus on strong product management, creating new exciting online channels, and leveraging our infrastructure, our retail network, all with the primary aim of convenient access to all your favorite games and entertainment. We made significant headway in the first 6 months of the year. And in February, I'm proud to announce we increased cash pot payouts to the highest level ever. We also earned the highest gross revenues in the 20-year history of Supreme Ventures. What an amazing way to celebrate 20 years, breaking new milestones with the support of our customers. Even with the launch of 2 new competitors, Supreme maintained 99.5% market share. This is indeed a massive accomplishment and speaks to our strong and loyal customers and our dedicated and innovative team. We continue to leverage our digital assets, and in June, we began to accept debit and credit cards on the JustBet mobile platform. A first for Jamaica, a first for the region. And also, we accept cash in our JustBet retail locations. We launched our Charge Up product on the Supreme FinTech, where customers can top up for their favorite mobile providers. And there are exciting new additions to come with products and services that you'll be able to buy to recharge your phones or your online accounts. To add the icing to the cake of this 6 months of successful launches, we launched what can only be described as game-changing, Acropolis Online, where our gamers can now enjoy the casino in the palm of their hands and the privacy of their homes. It's the best casino experience anywhere in Jamaica, and I will say anywhere that you can find in the region. The feedback and take-up of this product has been phenomenal, and again, we have to thank our loyal customers. Our team is our greatest resource, and we are moving full speed ahead to keep them informed with the introduction of weekly and monthly newsletters under the Supreme Pulse, rewarding them with performance-based incentives, and providing opportunities for growth with educational and job improvement and enhancement programs. Our team is a foundation on which we continue to build and grow. Prime Sports, as the engine of Supreme Ventures, will continue to innovate and lead the growth in the market of SVL. On June 25, 2021, we celebrated our 20th anniversary as Jamaica's leading gaming provider. We could not have achieved this milestone without our loyal retailer network and our passionate customers. We have expressed our appreciation to both our retailers and customers in several ways. Exciting pop-ups across the island where gamers were rewarded with spot prizes. 20 days of Supreme Winnings, where we gave our SV Games customers a chance to win $20,000 every day. And our retailers. We had a special 20th anniversary edition of our social media network show, Every Nook and Cranny. It showcases our unique retailers and their central role in their communities across the island. And anniversary luncheons to celebrate and fet our retailers who have been with us for the long haul. These are the retailers who have held us together across the island and were the foundation of our business 20 years ago. I now invite General Manager of Caymanas, Lorna Gooden, to speak on Caymanas' future.
Thank you, Jesus. It's all hands on deck for Caymanas Park. Despite being impacted by COVID-19 in the second quarter of the year, we reopened the park while implementing all safety protocols. We are happy to report that the upgrading of our operational facilities will continue while observing the health protocol. To date, our jockey room renovation has been completed. The tote board will be replaced with a digital screen and opportunities for revenue generation through sponsorship and advertising. The well construction has begun, development stage and testing stage, which will be followed by the Water Authority's approval and commissioning. Stable management. We have digitized this critical aspect of the business and can now provide up-to-date detail on the care and fitness of the horses located at the stables. This has given way for the composition of more competitive racing cards and higher wages. Online gaming betting and the relevance of commingling simulcasting has created opportunities for Caymanas Park to be competitive. Most racetracks in North America realize approximately 90 to 95 on their handling from online betting. Technology has played a pivotal role in creating massive increases in handles, as punters worldwide now have access to wagering at local and foreign tracks that can be conducted from a cell phone. New product launches, revenue growth from diversified income stream, key partnership with tourism interests and entertainment groups, local and international, an engaged and supported retail network, proper segmentation to facilitate expansion while creating greater synergies across segments are key success factors to our continued growth. Development of our infrastructure has started with significant improvements already made. However, there's more to come with plans to have a new entrance, grass track, digital screen tote board installation, the new trainers pavilion, upgrading of the stands area, and an exciting solar project. We continue to reposition Caymanas as an international product and expect the harmonious relationship with all our internal and external stakeholders to continue as we move forward towards future viability and profitability as we leverage technology and innovation to improve efficiency and ensure business continuity. I now invite CEO Dennis Chung to speak on Supreme Ventures Services Limited and, of course, the SVS Business Hub.
Thank you, Lorna. With the launch of the Supreme Ventures Services Hub, otherwise known as the SV Hub, in the third quarter of 2020, SVSL has blazed a trail as the most radical revenue stream for the SV Group, building on the strength of the company's potential to provide solid business services to an external clientele, which has been readily accepted. We have engaged several similar-minded operations with a view to share clientele and best practices across the board, including MOUs signed with JMB Group, SME Resource Center, Graph Ventures Limited, Regius, Sharewave Technology, and Paramount Business Services Limited. We have also restructured the management of the Business Hub, implementing a key executive position, Head of Business Services, to bring the skill level and strategy necessary to aggressively position the Business Hub in the services marketplace. We have promoted and will continue to promote our services in traditional media, as television and print, and our web page and social media, which has generated significant leads for businesses wanting our back office support. We currently offer services such as human resources, marketing, IT, and finance, and are poised to continue to expand and build on the foundation established in 2020 that will result in increased revenue and maximize shareholder value. I now hand over to Chairman Peart.
Thank you, Dennis. From where we sit, tomorrow has unlimited potential. 2020 was a year of great achievement and sacrifice by every member of Team Supreme. And for that, I thank the entire SVL team for their dedication and commitment. We maintain our position in the market as a strong, stable group of companies that is focused on investing and innovating and leveraging our potential. Our infrastructure, capacity, training, and development needs must be met to ensure that our base can expand and exceed our targets and impact. We continue to build out our Guyanese business and dive deeper into the world of online and interactive gaming, and investing in new distribution channels. We are strengthening our competitive strategy in order to bring everything into the regulatory environment. We're on a path of continuous innovation, reinventing ourselves, and launching new products. We continue to expect increased revenue from our sports betting segment and all our subsidiaries combined. We will continue to give back fully to the Jamaican economy and community development. We are confident that we have the right strategies and the right people to keep the Supreme Ventures group on a growth path. We're optimistic about the future, and our results prove that we're a company that is destined for greatness. We value you, our shareholders, our employees, our customers, and all our stakeholders. And thank you once again for the confidence you continue to place in Supreme Ventures. Continue to stand with us as we push the boundaries and reach for even greater heights of achievement and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now at our question and answer segment of the presentation. However, we did not receive any questions, and so we will now proceed to the auditor's report. I will now ask Mr. Leighton McKnight, Managing Partner and representative from the audit firm PwC, Chartered Accountants, to read the auditor's report on the accounts for the year ending December 31st, 2020.
Thank you very much, Chairman Peart, directors, shareholders, management, staff of SVL Group, other attendees of this annual general meeting. I will now read the auditor's report as required by Section 157 of Jamaican Companies Act. It is not the most exciting report to read, and let me assure you that through the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica, we are still pushing to have amendments to the Act so that this report can be taken as read, Mr. Chairman. The auditor's report is contained on pages 83 to 90 of the company's annual report, and it reads as follows. To the members of Supreme Ventures Limited, report on the audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements. In our opinion, the consolidated financial statements and standalone financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated financial position of Supreme Ventures Limited, the company, and its subsidiaries, together referred to as the group, and the standalone financial position of the company as at 31 December 2020, and of their consolidated and standalone financial performance and their consolidated and standalone cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and requirements of the Jamaican Companies Act. The group consolidated and standalone financial statements comprise the following. The consolidated statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the consolidated statement of comprehensive income for the year then ended, the consolidated statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, the consolidated statement of cash flows for the year then ended, the company statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the company statement of comprehensive income for the year then ended, the company statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, the company statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the company statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the company statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, the company statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, and the notes to the financial statements, which include significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements section of our report. We believe that the audit evidence that we obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. We are independent of the group in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including international independent standards issued by the International Ethics Standard Board of the Accountants. We have fulfilled our ethical responsibilities in accordance with the relevant code. As part of designing our audit and determining materiality and assess the risk of material misstatement in the consolidated and standalone financial statements in particular, we considered where management made subjective judgments, for example, in respect of significant accounting estimates involved, making assumptions, and considering future events that are inherently uncertain. As in all of our audits, we also address the risk of management override of internal controls, including, among other matters, consideration of whether there was evidence of bias that represented a risk of material misstatement due to fraud. We tailor the scope of our audit in order to perform sufficient work to enable us to provide an opinion on the consolidated financial statements as a whole, and taking into account the structure of the group, the accounting processes and controls, and the industry in which the group operates. The group is comprised of 15 reporting components, 6 components representing inactive entities, of which we selected 5 components for testing. These 5 components represent the principal business units within the group and are all Jamaican entities. A full scope audit was performed for Prime Sports Jamaica Limited, Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited, and Supreme Ventures Services Limited, formerly Big A Track 2003, as these entities were determined to be individually financially significant. Additionally, based on our professional judgment, Post-to-Post Betting Limited and Supreme Route Limited were selected, and audit procedures were performed on specific account transactions and balances due to the significance of certain individual amounts, the consolidated financial statements. All of the in-scope components were audited by PwC Jamaica. In establishing the overall group audit strategy and plan, we determined the type of work required to be performed at the component level by the group engagement team and by the component auditors. The team members on the component audit team performing the full scope audits were all the same as those within the group audit team. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in the audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. The key audit matters were as follows. Business combination for the group. On January 2, 2020, the group, through Supreme Route Limited, formerly Bingo Investment Limited, acquired selected assets of Champion Gaming Limited, Champion Gaming, for a total consideration of $2.78 billion. The consideration consisted of $1.42 billion of cash and 49% equity allocated to Champion Gaming in Supreme Route Limited, valued at $1.36 billion. The fair value of the equity consideration was determined using a capitalization of EBITDA method. With the significant shareholding and certain changes to the composition of SRL, board management concluded that it retains control of SRL and consequently that SRL remains a subsidiary of the group. The accounting for the acquisition was a key audit matter given the significance of the transaction and the financial and operational impacts on the group. We focus on this area due to the nature of the business combination, the accounting requirements which can be complex and require management to exercise judgment in determining certain estimates. The complex judgments include determining, identifying, and estimating the fair value of intangible assets acquired from Champion Gaming. The group was assessed by external valuation experts in the process. With assistance of our valuation experts, we tested the fair value of the intangible assets recognized as follows. Assess the competence and capability of management's valuation experts, evaluated the application of the valuation methodology utilized to derive the fair value of identified intangible assets, tested the reasonableness of valuation assumptions and inputs by referencing management's cash flow projections, historical trends, and other supporting documentation and information, corroborating the revenue forecast, expense forecasts, including payout ratios and capital and growth rates by comparison to industry and independent economic and statistical data, evaluating the reasonableness of the determined discount rate, and evaluating the reasonableness of the useful life of each intangible asset identified. Tested the mathematical accuracy of management's discounted cash flows by reperforming the underlying calculations. In addition, we performed the following procedures. Assess the reasonableness of the fair value of the equity consideration by agreeing the EBITDA used in the calculation to historical information and comparing the multiples to that used by other relevant market participants. Evaluated the appropriateness of management's consideration of our SRL in light of the requirement of the applicable accounting standards. Based on the procedures performed, management accounting for the acquisition, in our view, was not unreasonable. Next key audit matter was impairment assessment of goodwill. Goodwill accounts for 2.05 billion or 13.2% of total assets of the group and 190 million or 2.3% of total assets for the company as at 31 December 2020. Management performed an annual impairment analysis over the goodwill balance. The recoverable amounts of cash-generating units have been determined based on value in use calculations. We focus on this area as the goodwill balance increased significantly following the acquisition of Champion Gaming, and because the assessment of the carrying value of goodwill involves significant judgment and estimation, is sensitive to changes in key assumptions, and due to the challenges involved in determining the impact of COVID-19 on these assumptions. The key assumptions were assessed by management as being pre-tax discount rate, terminal value, growth rate, and EBITDA growth rate in the terminal year. We tested management assumption used in their impairment testing model for goodwill, including the future cash flows, projections, discount rates, and growth rates applied. With the assistance of our valuation experts, we performed the following. Obtain management discounted cash flows, including qualitative and quantitative analyses, and obtain an understanding of the process used by management to determine the value in use of each cash-generating unit. Agreed the 31 December 2020 base year financial information to current year results and compare the current year and previous forecasts to actual results, assess the performance of the business and accuracy of management forecasting. Tested management assumption, including the impact of COVID-19 on those assumptions as follows. pre-tax discount rate performed an analysis to evaluate the reasonableness of management's determined rate. Terminal value growth rate evaluated management terminal value, where we develop a range of parameters using available market inputs and historical information, and perform sensitivity analyses using these parameters to determine the reasonableness of management assumption. EBITDA growth rate in the terminal year, compare the growth rates to historical EBITDA growth and evaluated management estimated future growth rates, which included the assessment of management's business plan. Based on the procedures performed, management's assumptions and judgments relating to the carrying value of goodwill, in our view, were not unreasonable. Final key audit matter was valuation of investment properties. Investment properties represent $866 million, or 5.6% of total assets of the group as at 31st December 2020. Determination of fair value of investment properties require significant judgment and is inherently subjective due to, among other factors, the individual nature of each property, its location, and the expected future rental income for each property. This, combined with the fact that a small percentage difference in individual property valuation assumptions when aggregated could result in a material misstatement, is why we are focused on this area. Management, with the assistance of independent valuation experts, use different methods to value two investment properties as follows. For one property, the market comparison approach was combined with a residual approach to determine the fair value. The market comparison approach relies on suitable and substantial sales evidence of comparable properties within the geographic location, adjusting for certain pertinent factors to form a basis for comparison. The residual approach is based on the residue or differences between the gross development value of the highest and best use development of the site, less its gross development cost. For the other property, the investment approach was used. The investment approach capitalizes the net income from the investment over the projected useful life and takes in consideration a number of factors which require estimation and judgment. The key factors include estimation of rental income, determination of capitalization rate, and discount rates. We engage independent qualified valuation experts to assist us in evaluating the work of management experts. With the aid of our valuation experts, we perform the following procedures. Evaluated the competence and objectivity of management experts. This included confirming that they were appropriately qualified and not affiliated to the group. Obtained an understanding of the evaluation methods used by management, along with significant developments within the industry. This included evaluating the appropriateness of the valuation methodology used and its suitability for determining market value in accordance with financial reporting framework. Evaluated management's assumptions for the market comparison approach by performing comparisons to properties within similar geographical locations. Assess the appropriateness of the inputs used in the residual approach in determining the gross development value and the gross development cost, with focus on the capital value per square foot and the basis of building costs. This involves evaluating the inputs against suitable market information. Agree the inputs used in the investment approach to relevant market information for key factors being the estimation of rental income, the capitalization factor, and discount rates. Based on the procedures performed, management's assumption and judgments relating to the valuation of investment properties, in our view, were not unreasonable. Other information. Management is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the annual report, but does not include the consolidated and standalone financial statements and our auditor's report thereon, which is expected to be made available to us after the date of this auditor's report. Our opinion on the consolidated and standalone financial statement does not cover the other information, and we will not express any form of assurance or conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information identified above when it becomes available, and in so doing consider whether the information is materially inconsistent with the consolidated and standalone financial statements, or our knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is a material misstatement therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance. We didn't observe anything like that. Management is responsible for the preparation of the consolidated and standalone financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and with the requirements of the Jamaican Companies Act, and such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of consolidated and standalone financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the consolidated and standalone financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the group's and companies' ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the group or the company or to cease operation or has no realistic alternative but to do so. Those charged with governance are responsible for overseeing the group and company's financial reporting process. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the consolidated and standalone financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate. They could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decision of users staying on the basis of these consolidated and standalone financial statements. As a part of an audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also do the following: identify and assess the risk of management misstatement of the consolidated and standalone financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis of our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than that from one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentation, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purposes of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the group and company's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. Conclude the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cause significant doubt on the company or group's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the consolidated and standalone financial statements, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. Wherever future events or conditions may cause the group or company to cease or to continue as a going concern. We evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the consolidated and standalone financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the consolidated and standalone financial statements present the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the financial information of the entities or business activities within the group to express an opinion on the consolidated financial statements. We are responsible for the direction, supervision, and performance of the group audit. We remain solely responsible for audit opinion. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identify during our audit. Thank God, the last page. I'm almost there, Chair. I'm good. We also provide those charged with governance with a statement that we have complied with the relevant ethical requirements regarding independence and to communicate with them all relationships on other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our audit independence and where applicable actions taken to eliminate threats or safeguard applied. From the matters communicated with those charged with governance, we determined those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements of the current period and are therefore the key audit matters. We describe these matters in our auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matter, or when in extremely rare circumstances we determine that a matter should not be communicated in our report because the adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. As required by the Jamaican Companies Act, we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been kept, so far as appears from our examination of those records, and the accompanying consolidated and standalone financial statements are in agreement therewith and give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner so required. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is yours truly, Leighton McKnight. The report is signed PricewaterhouseCoopers Chartered Accountants on the 1st of March 2021, Kingston, Jamaica, and that's the time frame agreed with the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, Leighton. I am sure every shareholder of SVL will help you in your lobbying efforts to change the Companies Act so we can say that report is taken as read. At this point, I want to step back a bit. We have received a question from a shareholder, notwithstanding us asking people to send in questions all along. But the shareholder is Mr. David Rose. I'm going to ask the company secretary to read the question.
Sure, Chairman, we've received two questions from Mr. Rose. The first question, will the company be expanding its asset base through more stock investments?
The answer to that is yes, once the opportunity arises. We're constantly looking for opportunities to create value. So if value comes up on the local stock exchange, we'll certainly explore it.
And the second question, what is the plan for your finance or lending expansion?
Just that, we're expanding it. So far, we've seen a very good take-up from the Michaela business that we bought. We've turned it around and it's profitable. And then also our AI business is doing pretty well. I mean, AI as in artificial intelligence in terms of that lending business. It's called Evolve. That's also has been launched and we're happy with the take-up and we expect that to continue.
That's it for the questions, Chairman.
Thank you very much. So, the Director's report and audited accounts for the year ended December 31st, 2020 have been published on our website and on the Jamaica Stock Exchange's website within the customary period and have been circulated via email to shareholders for whom we have email addresses. I ask that the director's report and audited accounts be taken as read. Shareholders, we will now move to the business of the meeting. As outlined in our notice, voting on the resolutions will only be facilitated by proxy, and forms must have been lodged with our registrar no less than 48 hours before the meeting. We received proxies representing 1,619,393,297 units, or approximately 61% of the issued shares of the company. Based on these proxies, we will announce the voting results for each resolution that is proposed. Resolution 1, that the audited group accounts for the year ended December 31st, 2020, and the reports of the directors and auditors circulated with the notice convening the meeting be and are hereby adopted. Will a shareholder move this motion? Will a shareholder second this motion?
Dennis Strong.
I now put the motion before the meeting and ask that the company secretary advise of the voting results.
The registrar, JCSD, has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares, voted in favor of this resolution.
I declare the motion carried. Resolution 2, that the interim dividends per stock unit of 25 cents paid on June 12, 2020, 7 cents paid on September 4, 2020, 20 cents paid on December 4, 2020, and 28 cents paid on March 23, 2021, be and are hereby ratified and declared as final on the recommendation of the directors, and that no further dividend will be paid in respect of the year under review. Will a shareholder move this motion?
Lorna Gooden.
Will a shareholder second this motion?
Dennis Strong.
I now put the motion before the meeting and ask that the company secretary advise of the voting results.
The registrar, JCSD, has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares, voted in favor of this resolution.
I declare the motion carried. In accordance with Articles 105 and 106 of the company's Articles of Incorporation, the following directors retire by rotation and, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. They are Gary Peart, Lance Hilton, and Duncan Stewart. Given that I am one of the directors retiring by rotation, I will hand over to the company secretary to read the next resolution.
Resolution 3A, that Mr. Gary Peart, retiring pursuant to Articles 105 and 106 of the company's Articles of Incorporation, be and is hereby re-elected. Will a shareholder move this motion?
Lorna Gooden.
Will a shareholder second this motion?
Dennis Strong.
The registrar, JCSD, has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares, voted in favor of this resolution. I declare the motion carried.
Thank you, shareholders. Happy to be back. Resolution 3B, that Mr. Lance Hilton, retiring pursuant to Articles 105 and 106 of the Articles of Incorporation, be and is hereby re-elected. Will a shareholder move this motion?
Dennis Strong.
Will a shareholder second this motion?
Lorna Gooden.
I now put a motion before the meeting and ask that the company secretary advise of the voting results.
The registrar, JCSD, has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares, voted in favor of this resolution.
I declare the motion carried. Resolution 3C, that Mr. Duncan Stewart, retiring pursuant to Articles 105 and 106 of the Articles of Incorporation, be and is hereby re-elected. Will a shareholder move this motion?
Dennis Strong.
Will a shareholder second this motion?
Lorna Gooden.
I now put the motion before the meeting and ask that the company secretary advise of the voting results.
The registrar JCSD has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares in the company, voted in favor of this resolution.
I declare the motion carried. I thank my fellow directors for being re-elected. Thank you, shareholders. Resolution 4A, that the directors be and are hereby empowered to fix the remuneration of the executive directors. Will a shareholder move this motion?
Jesus Johnston.
Will a shareholder second this motion?
Lorna Gooden.
I now put the motion before the meeting and ask that the company secretary advise of the voting results.
The registrar JCSD has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares in the company, voted in favor of this resolution.
I declare the motion carried. Resolution 4B, that the amount shown in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended December 31st, 2020, as remuneration of the directors for their services, be and is hereby approved. Will a shareholder move this motion?
Jesus Johnston.
Will a shareholder second this motion?
Lorna Gooden.
I now put the motion before the meeting and ask that the company secretary advise of the voting results.
The registrar JCSD has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares in the company, voted in favor of this resolution.
I declare the motion carried. Resolution 5, that PricewaterhouseCoopers, having signified their willingness to serve, be and are hereby appointed as auditors of the company until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors. Will a shareholder move this motion?
Jesus Johnston.
Will a shareholder second this motion?
Lorna Gooden.
I now put the motion before the meeting and ask that the company secretary advise of the voting results.
The registrar, JCSD, has confirmed that 1,619,393,297 units, representing 61% of the issued shares in the company, voted in favor of this resolution.
I declare the motion carried. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the proceedings. We thank you again for joining us remotely on our live stream to be a part of this year's annual general meeting. We look forward to seeing you next year in what we hope to be a much safer and conducive environment. Please keep safe and continue to practice the recommended health and safety protocols. Thank you.